If you're deep in the tech world, you live and breathe logic, data, and code, right? But then one day you get tapped to lead a team, and suddenly it's not about algorithms anymore. It's about emotions, motivations, and, well, people. The very skills that made you a rock star developer aren't necessarily the ones that make you a great leader. So today we're diving into Byron A. Love's A Geek's Guide to Leadership to figure out how to translate that technical brilliance into true leadership gold. Let's get into it. So here's our roadmap. First, we're going to pinpoint the biggest challenge geeks face when they step up to lead. Then we'll do a little hacking on our own brains to get a handle on the emotional side of things. After that, we'll crack the communication code, build up some serious credibility, and then see what this all looks like in the real world. And finally, we'll talk about why leadership is really a journey, not just a destination. All right, first up, let's get right to the core of the problem. What exactly makes that jump from being the go-to technical expert to being a respected leader so hard? Well, the spoiler is, it's not about learning more tech, it's about learning people. This quote absolutely nails it. In IT, we love to talk about people, process, and technology. But let's be real, we spend almost all of our time on process and technology. You know why? Because they're predictable. Code compiles or it doesn't. Processes have clear steps. But people are messy. They're driven by this complex mix of things like pride, envy, loyalty, and frustration. And when we ignore that human element, that's when technically perfect projects can just completely fall apart. 90%. Just let that number sink in for a second. According to the project management body of knowledge, this is how much of a project manager's job is just communicating. Not designing systems, not writing code, talking to people. This statistic is a huge wake-up call. It proves that all those soft skills aren't just nice-to-haves. For a leader, they are literally the job. And this leads us to what the author calls the bear of a problem. It's this weird paradox that so many of us face. You're an amazing coder, so you get promoted to lead the team of coders. But the skills that made you great, that deep, solitary focus, the pure logic, they're just not the same skills that make you a great leader. And that creates this massive gap. Your tech skills got you the job, but they won't help you succeed in it. That success depends on a completely different set of leadership skills that, frankly, most of us haven't developed. So, how in the world do we bridge that gap? Well, it all starts by hacking the most complex piece of hardware you'll ever encounter, your own brain. You see, before you can even think about leading other people, you have to understand your own emotional operating system. Okay, think of your brain as having 3 layers. Way down at the bottom, you've got the reptilian brain. That's just pure instinct, fight or flight. The next layer up is the limbic system, and that's where all your emotions live. Then, on the very top, you have the neocortex. That's the home of logic, reason, and all the stuff we tech folks love. But here's the catch. When your stakeholder is furious about a missed deadline, you're not dealing with their neocortex. You're dealing with their limbic system. And you can't solve an emotional problem with a logical solution. It just doesn't work. Let's just take one of these emotions, resentment. It's like a silent poison that builds up when people feel unheard or micromanaged. The book tells this really chilling story about a developer who got so resentful that he waited for the most critical moment in a project and then quit, just to watch his boss suffer. As a leader, you have to be able to spot that kind of resentment and deal with it before it completely blows up your project. So, if resentment is the poison, what's the antidote? It's empathy. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be a therapist. It's about being able to genuinely connect with what your team is feeling. When you can really share in their frustration over a bug that just won't die, or their excitement when you finally ship a new feature, you're building trust. And that trust is the foundation for everything else. And believe me, as a leader, you will see this entire spectrum of emotions probably before lunchtime. You'll see envy over who gets the cool new assignments. You'll see fear when a deadline is getting close. And you'll see pride when the team absolutely crushes it. Your job isn't to fix their emotions, but to recognize them in yourself and in others, and then respond in a way that keeps everyone moving forward. Okay, so we've looked at our internal wiring. Now let's talk about our external interface, communication. How do we take everything we're learning about ourselves and use it to actually connect with our teams and stakeholders in a meaningful way? This quote from the book, it just perfectly captures the chaos, right? IT projects are so incredibly complex. You're juggling status updates, shifting requirements, multiple stakeholders. It really does feel like this impossible climb where one wrong step could mean disaster. So, how do you actually survive that climb? You need a solid toolkit. And these classic principles from Dale Carnegie are pure gold. Being a good listener, that's not just being polite. That's how you uncover a hidden requirement that could have wrecked your project 3 months from now. Remembering someone's name, making them feel important, these aren't just social niceties. They are the fundamental tools for building a team that trusts you and wants to succeed with you. So all this hard work, the self-awareness, the communication, it's all pointed at building one thing: credibility. You have to think of credibility as the true currency of leadership. Without it, your job title is just words. But with it, you can influence people and make things happen, even when you don't have the official authority. A huge part of building that credibility is realizing that not everybody communicates the same way you do. Most of us in tech, we're analyticals. We love data, we love logic. But if you're talking to a driver, they don't want your spreadsheet. They just want the bottom line, right now. If you're talking to an expressive, they want to brainstorm the big picture. And an amiable wants to know you care about the relationship. You build credibility by learning to speak their language, not just forcing them to speak yours. And this right here is your daily workout for building that credibility. It's a loop. First, you have to know yourself. What's your default style? What are your triggers? Then, control yourself. Don't let your impulses run the show. Next, turn your focus outward and know others. Watch them. Listen. What do they need? And finally, the most important part, do something for others. Adapt your style to help them succeed. You just do this over and over and your credibility will skyrocket. Okay, so we've hacked our brains, we've decoded communication, we're building credibility. Now let's get practical. What does all of this actually look like day to day when you're leading a team? This is the absolute core of it all. Your most important job as a leader is to create a unifying purpose. It's the why. The goal isn't just to build a login page. The purpose is to make our users' lives easier and more secure. A strong purpose is what gets people excited to come to work. It gives their effort meaning. And when they're inspired, their energy feeds you as a leader. It's this amazing self-reinforcing cycle. Now, this model is so important because it's going to save you a ton of stress. Every single team goes through these stages. Forming is that easy honeymoon period. But then comes storming. And that's where people disagree and butt heads. A lot of new leaders see this and they panic. They think the team is broken. But it's not. It's a totally normal and necessary step. Your job isn't to prevent the storm, it's to guide the team through it. And a big part of guiding that team is about accountability. A great leader knows how to give both praise and, when it's needed, a reprimand. Praising good work makes people feel valued, and addressing poor performance, calmly and professionally, corrects the course without creating a culture of fear. See, a leader who only praises ends up with a team that has no accountability. But a leader who only criticizes builds a team that's too scared to take risks. It's all about finding that balance. All right, let's zoom out for the finish. Becoming a leader isn't like finishing a project. It's not a certification you get or a title you achieve. It is a continuous, ongoing quest of learning and getting better. The author shares this really powerful personal story. Early in his career, his boss told him he was too nice. So he tried to overcorrect and act like a tough guy. He was really harsh with an administrative assistant over something small, and he says the memory of how inauthentic that was just haunted him for 20 years. The lesson wasn't to ignore all advice, but to realize that you have to filter it through who you really are. You have to find your own authentic leadership style. And that really is the bottom line. At the end of the day, all technology projects are people projects. Your success as a leader won't be measured by the elegance of your code. It'll be measured by your ability to connect with, motivate, and guide the brilliant, complex, sometimes frustrating human beings on your team. It's a journey, and the learning never stops. So look, we've walked through the challenge, we've explored the tools, we've looked at the map. But a map can only show you the way. You're the one who has to actually take the journey. So the final question isn't for me, it's for you. What kind of leader will you choose to be?